Alright, good morning. As you can see, I decided to tear the entire top off this engine. Cylinder, liner, and everything. And I did, hopefully it can be seen, did find out that there's scoring vertically where the wrist pin is sliding sideways out of the piston, just like was happening in the other engines, the ET series. So I'm gonna have to Loctite that back in place when I reassemble this. Otherwise, looking inside, there's been plenty of oil down in the bottom end there, so that's good. And while we've got this all the way at the bottom, because it can be done, and getting slow running out of an engine is very, very dependent on all the timing being really accurate. I'm gonna quadruple, double, triple check the spark ignition timing. So let's see. Turn this so I can see it. Alright. So it is sparking right about there, and that is top dead center, so it's about 5 degrees ahead of top dead center. For really slow running, I would like that to be at 0 or darn close to 0, but that'll work. It's not too far advanced, because if you're too far advanced, then you need to be running at an even higher speed to keep going. So that's good. And I need to come up with a system for cleaning these plugs. In the olden days, spark plugs were really expensive, so they had blasters for cleaning them, where you'd put them and blast them with sand and stuff to get all the carbon off of them, and then you'd have to clean them really thoroughly to make sure that didn't end up in your engine. And then they figured out how to make spark plugs so cheap that it was cheaper to replace them than to have a new one. So, anyhow, quadruple. I'm pulling up on the piston rod here, and top dead center is actually right there. Okay, I need to find a way to mark that, and I do not have my marker out here. Let me go grab a marker quick. Okay, so pull up as hard as we can, and let's see, where do I want to put my mark? that bottom. There we go. My top and bottom marked now. See, with the starter horizontal, top is a little bit, yeah, and bottom is a little bit off of horizontal there. Okay. Cool. Now I have all these brushes. A lot of carbon buildup in the spark plug area of this head because it's a very tiny space. So this has just been soaking in rubbing alcohol, and it loosened up all that carbon really nicely. It also takes all the oil off of everything, so make sure and oil this once we get it put back together. But and I'll just set this out of the way for a second. I don't know if you can tell, there's a lot of vertical scoring on this piston, so I'm gonna pop the O-ring out of it and give it a horizontal touch up with the Alright, so to get this off, I'm squeezing and pulling, getting this underneath there, and then just gently pulling it off the top. And now we can you see the contact pattern is just the edges on this, so I guess we'll move to this. And I'm not really trying to put any horizontal scratching on there. I'm just trying to make sure that the vertical scores have the edges knocked down and polished a little bit. So just pop that O-ring back on. Okay, now gave that a little bit of tiniest bit of polish up, and then I've got the inside of the cylinder here. Just gonna do this with my sandpaper. yeah, that puts some horizontal cross-hatching, and more importantly, hopefully rinsed off the, or knocked off whatever height was on the scoring that was in there vertically. And just dipped it in the isopropyl alcohol bath I have to let it, to wash off any of the grit that might be in there. So I think because there's no O-rings inside this cylinder fin assembly to hold the liner in, I think I'm gonna actually put a dab of Loctite in there just to hold it so it's easier to deal with assembling it. If I ever need to remove or replace it, it probably will heat up and loosen during operation, because the cylinder liner is going to get really warm. But well, I don't know about that, but it'll be a problem for later me and not current me. Maybe I won't do that. Decided against that. Get that out of the way. Alright. Now. While I'm at it, I'll just run the brush through the exhaust there. Okay, don't need those. Set this aside, pull this over, and let's get this piston back in place. So, piston, and there's the wrist pin. Put that in from the back because the flywheel is in the way. There we go. Just sort of moved it until it slipped in there. Now that it's in place, grab pushed it too far. There we go. Now it's just in place. Use a toothpick to apply Loctite around that. Push it in so it's centered, and then wipe the excess off the side there. Now, that should hold the wrist pin horizontally so it's not rattling back and forth in there and causing damage to the cylinder wall. Time to put this back in. I'll hold this up and zoom in there. You can see there's a big dent there from when I was running it, and the governor balls were hitting the side of the cylinder here. So, we'll put that on. And make sure that this dented area is on the side where the flywheel is going to be. Or the governor is going to be, rather. And then I need to, there it is. Go. It's a very low clearance place, so I'm gonna have to very gently turn these. Make sure that you feel that they're threaded in properly before you start spinning too hard, because if they get misthreaded, it is brass and you could really bung the threads up there. And of course there's 4 of these. That need go. Oh, I can't believe I've been so lucky so far. I got 2 of these in without any problems. And you can see I'm still leaving them loose before I get all 4 in. And I did dig out my forceps from model railroading and miniatures painting. And they're real handy for getting little screws into the hole like that. Okay, and that one started okay, it feels like. And number 4. Alright, so now that we have proper top and bottom dead center marks on the flywheel, that'll help get the exhaust valve timing close to perfect, and that should make it easier for the engine to run a lot slower, because as you know, we had it running ungoverned, and then it didn't want to stay running once it had the governor on. And the slower the speed you're trying to go for, the less tolerant the engine is of anything being out of time. So kind of turn these in finger tight with the long part of the key, and now I'm just snugging them up there like that. Should be good. Let's see now. Make sure that the first set of scoring from the loose wrist pin isn't lined up with the wrist pin again. And oh, there's my take a moment here to make sure that this is okay. I think that's tight, so let's just put it on and try it out. Alright, I need to have the head in place for timing this. Alright, so let's see now. Spark plug sits out this way, so put the gasket in place and the drop head bolts in. Just spin those down in. And I know I've said before, it's nice this is a 5-bolt pattern because that makes the tightening pattern really self-solving. There's no, in an even one, you have to skip a round. So, just there, skip, snug, skip, snug, skip, snug, skip, snug, and skip, and we're back where we started. Double check. Skip, snug, skip, snug, skip, snug, skip, snug. There we go. Alright, now alright. This bolt is trapped by the detent there, so we'll just use that as our first stop. Line everything up, and I'm holding this so that it goes on top of the exhaust valve. Oh, and that's also the wrong size. I thought I had the correct size bit in there, but we're moving down in size. So just get the top on loosely here so that I can pull the bottom out to get the gears meshed right. So I'm gonna top there. Alright. And that's bottom. And at bottom we want the exhaust valve to just be popping open. So got those gears meshed. Put these bottom two screws in. Before we snug all it up, we got bottom, and it is just there we go. Bottom just pops, and then it closes just ahead of top dead center. So we're actually in good shape there, I think. Yeah, alright. So double checked all that, got our timing marks on the flywheel from looking in the cylinder there, and oh, I just realized that I put the head on and forgot to put my carb back on. Well, I don't want to take the head off, so I guess we'll slide the